In today's show, we're going to use PowerApps to build a consent form. We're going to do it all on one single screen, but we're going to use it to introduce several new concepts. Use the pin input, figure out how to email out pin input, which turns out is pretty hard. We're going to look at sliders, we're going to look at conditional formatting, pop-ups, validations, a bunch of if statements, a lot of really cool concepts we're going to introduce with this simple little one-screen app. But first, before we do any of that, here's our intro. Hi, my name is Shane Young with Bold Zebras, those guys. And today's show is all about building a PowerApps consent form. Sounds pretty simple, pretty straightforward actually, but what we're going to do is we're going to use that as a jumping off point to introduce some new concepts. And the whole idea of this video actually came from viewers like you, so if you have ideas, definitely put them in the comments below, right? My friend George over in the UK, he sent me an email and said, hey, I got this idea about a consent form. He had some questions around the pin input and how to get that in an email. Started digging in from there. It turned out that it just sent me down the rabbit hole so far that I ended up making this video. Along the way, I also want to say thanks to Vivek out of Florence, Kentucky, strangely enough. He is providing me some of the answers on the forums, kind of helped push me in the right direction also. And I said strangely enough because it turns out that Vivek, being in Florence, Kentucky, I'm originally from Union, Kentucky, and it turns out that Gary, this is really weird, actually worked at a camp in Burlington, Kentucky. So, I don't know. It's the power of the internet, right? A bunch of power app nerds talking on the internet. It turns out that at one point or another, we all lived within a few miles of each other. So, kind of weird. Okay, that's enough about me and them. Let's just switch over to my desktop and figure out what we got going on. All right, so over here on my desktop, I'm going to open up my browser. And so here I've got my PowerApps form. Like, this is the end product. I wanted to start with the end to get you guys excited about what we're going to be building and kind of get you, seeing the process and knowing what the end result is going to be. I thought I'd make it for a little better of a demo. So let's hit the preview button here. And so I'm going to fill out the form, right? So consent form, so my name is Shane. And don't make fun of my ugly design colors. It is what it is. I'm going to type in my email, so shane.young@boldzebras.com. Now, you notice like when I was typing, if I stop typing there, it says, hey, please check your email. So one of the things we're going to introduce is how to do validation. So we're going to use isMatch there and isMatch in email. And if it's not, we're going to display the little warning message. You also notice that my consent form is currently grayed out. So until you've filled out all the information properly, it's not going to let you hit the consent button. So we'll put in .com, just like that. All right, when I send a copy of the email to myself, I do not, but that is a capability. What is my age? Notice the age color stays red until we get to 18, right? Because anyone who's under 18, we decided they couldn't consent for themselves. I just really wanted to show off how the slider works, so that's why I did that. But I think I'm more like 40, so we'll put that in there. Then we'll use the signing process here. We'll put a little smiley face. With the pin input, right, this works a lot better on the mobile phone, and this is what this was actually designed to be used for, right? It was when a photographer was out and doing pictures, he wanted to be able to get people's consent to use the images, so he would have this on his mobile device where the pin input would work a lot better than me trying to click with my mouse, right? So there's that. And now that it's all done, you can see the consent button lit up, so we're able to consent. We could use this refresh button. This would wipe the whole form clearing if I decide I typed in a bunch of bad information. We'll hit consent. So then here we built a popover, right? So this is all still on the same screen. We just created a form that lays over top. And you can say I did not do a lot of design work here. This is kind of ugly. But, you get thank you for sharing. You saw the dots go across the top. That was the email going out. And if we hit close, it will take us back to our form all reset for the next person to consent. So pretty cool. Let's pause for 1 second. I'll grab the email so you can see what that looks like. And so here's the email. And you can see, right, I didn't do anything too fancy, but my consent form was the subject. Here's the body text. And then here is the attachment with their signature in it. So turns out getting the attachment signature, that was one of those things I really had to struggle through. And so it was where I got some help on how to do that. That was Vivek's help actually, was, here's how you get that into a thing. So we're going to cover that in the video as we go. Now, one of the things that the app doesn't do that I would probably do if I was going to be writing this for an actual is I'd probably be like logging this to an Azure database or an Excel file or somewhere like that. But for the request I got was just to make it so we emailed a copy of this to the photographer, so that way he had an email record of all these. So that's what we built. Pretty exciting though, right? I mean, it's not great, it's not pretty. You guys are better at design than me, so you could make it pretty. But this is going to give us the foundation of teaching you a lot of new stuff. So let's just jump over here to PowerApps. Let's sign in, and we're just going to go build this for ourselves. All right, so PowerApps loaded. So I'm going to go over here to Apps, and you can see the consent forms I've been playing with. We're going to say Create an App. I'm going to log in as that account. And then so here it gives me some choices of which one of the templates I want to start with. And we're going to just start with a completely blank app. I'm going to do it a phone layout. I could also see an argument for doing this as a tablet layout, so like your Surface or something like that. But I don't know, phone layout had enough room for what I wanted to do, so I just changed the scenario to make it work with the phone. So we'll say phone layout. And so this is going to get all the pieces and put them in place for us. Thankfully, it only takes like half a second because all it did was create us a blank screen. I will skip the tutorial for now. That's why we're watching the video. We don't need the PowerApps tutorial, so skip. Okay. So we have a blank screen here, so let's start building our app. And we're going to try and build it as close to the other one as possible. I'm certain I won't one-for-one recreate it, but I'll do my best. First thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to change this screen fill to be green-yellow because it's kind of the color of my racing motorcycle used to be, so I've always been a fan of that color. Then we're going to go up here to Insert, and we're going to insert some labels. So we'll insert a label. It'll put it right there, and we're going to call this consent form. Boom. We will go to the Home tab here. We will say center that text. Let's bold that text. And let's make that text more like a 40 point. All right, so a little better. We're going to scoot it up also so we don't run out of room. One of the things we want to make sure we do though as we go through here is I'm also going to update all these so I don't mess anything up. So I'm going to call this label consent header. That's probably too long of a name, but I've been doing label underscore consent header because it's real easy for people who are watching my videos. A lot of people just do like LBL or something like that. So whatever works for you, it goes. All right, so there we go. We got our form. We're done. Yay, video's over. No, just kidding. All right, so let's go here to insert, and let's insert another label. And we're going to put this one right up against the bottom of this one. We're going to call this one name. Okay, and then we'll go over here. We're going to change this to label name. I promise it gets much more interesting as we go. Then we're going to grab a input, right? So a text input, and we're going to drop this one right here, and we're just going to name this name. Very, very descriptive. All right, but those names are important because when we do all these if formulas and all that as we kind of go along, it's a lot easier if we can reference those by a name that makes sense instead of the weird names they get by default. Okay, so that one's easy, no problem. So let's grab another label. And for this one, we're going to do email, like so. And then we're going to do a text input for email. But this one we're going to make a little more complicated, so that'll be exciting. So first things first, let's get rid of the default text, right? We don't need any default text in there. Boom. We get rid of the default text in this guy. Oh, if I can ever select it all. There we go. All right, so no more default text. Oh, we need to fix this also. We're going to call this email address. And you want to do email address, not just email. Usually I'm lazy. I like to type shorter things. But email is going to be part of one of the functions that we use later. And so it would be confusing. So using something like email or input underscore email, something like that is going to make it easier for you to kind of keep it all straight. And for PowerApps not to get confused because we don't want that to happen. And to that end, let me grab this formula real quick that we want to use. Okay, and so the first thing we're going to learn about is in this email field, what I wanted to do, right? Remember earlier when I typed in an incomplete email address, we got the warning? Well, the first step of that for me is we're going to change the text color to red if they have an invalid email in here. And so to do that, we're going to go over here, right? So we've selected the email, and we're going to hit the drop down, and we're going to find color. And so color right now is whatever color that is. It's roughly a black. But we're going to grab this. We're going to replace this. I'm going to paste this in the statement. We'll talk about what it is. So what is this? It says if, so we're going to do an if is match. So is match is a function that does pattern matching. So you can either set your own patterns or you can do something like one of the built-in ones, which is email. So we're going to say if is match email address.text. So the text they just typed in here, if is match email text matches the email pattern. That's why we didn't want to use email for the name of this, right? Because email is the name of that pattern. Then set the text to black. If it's not black, we're going to set the text to red. Okay, and then we can see that now. So we hit play, we can test this out. If I start typing, see the text automatically turn red, but if I do, I won't do fake email address, we'll do shane@boldzeros.com, then the text stays black because that is a correct, well-formatted email. So learning that isMatch function is great because we're going to use that in a little bit later to put the little warning message up there that says, hey, this email is not working, or you need to put a valid email address in here. So pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. All right, we'll clear that out. So we got name, we got email. The next thing we wanted to do was grab a label here, and we're going to put in our good buddy age, right? So we'll do age : and then for this one, we're going to change this to be label age. Oh, and you guys let me not do the label 3. How rude. It's almost like you can't talk to me because I'm making this video and you're watching it later. I don't know. All right, label, email. Okay, so those are all labeled. Boom, boom, boom. So that's age. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to insert a control, and we're going to use a slider control. So I'm going to grab this guy, and I'm going to pull him down here. And so with the slider control, so the first time in any of my videos we've used it. Actually, today was the first time I'd used one, period. Shh, don't tell anybody. With the slider control, you've got some different flexibility. So you can see the default value is currently set to 50. We're going to set it to 0. So that'll be a default age. You have the ability, if you scroll down over here, you can do the min and max, right? So min is 0, and in this case, we're going to let max be 100. So if you're over 100, sorry, you can't fill out my consent form. I'm sorry. So that's one set of things you want to look at. The other thing, though, I wanted to look at here was, for me, if we go over here, the handle, I wanted to set the handle color based on what, whether they were in an acceptable range or not. So less than 18, we're going to set it to red. If not, we'll just use the default of a red or a white. So here we're going to do, not handle active fill, we're going to do handle fill. And so there's the color that's currently using. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace that with, let me grab the color, this formula right here. And so what does this formula say? It says, hey, if the age is greater than or equal to 18, then set the fill color to white. And if it's not, set it to red. So you can see right now we're at 2, 5, 6, right? And as we keep dragging, we get it turns white. So essentially when they're not able to consent, so they're less than 18, then we're able to make it red. Now you also might notice we have a keen eye that right now it's red with a blue surround. So if you change the value fill, that's where that blue is coming from. We're going to change that to just be age.handleFill, like that. And so then now the whole thing is red, and if it switches and it goes out, grab it, and it's all white. So right, we're just kind of leveraging that. That's just one of those little things that can really annoy you, right? I probably spent 5 minutes trying to figure out, like, why is there this blue ring? How do I get rid of it? Those are things in PowerApps that are very fixable. You just have to go and look for them, and sometimes you just have to, try and change a bunch of values until you do it, or you watch a video like this that shows you how. Okay, so that gets us our age. Now the other thing I wanted to do there, though, is now we have this all set, I'm going to update this field. So so text is currently age, and we're going to make it easier for people to know what age they've put in. So we're going to do the ampersand, right, which says, hey, do another field, or add something else to this, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to put in age, like so. And so then now, right, when they slide, so not only are we visually showing them, but we can also see the written implementation that it's currently slid to 34. Just makes it easier for people to use little tricks like that. All right. So the next up, we're going to grab another label. And so here we're just going to put in some text, right? And this is going to be whatever it is you want them to consent to. So I'm going to put, of course you can use my picture. Why wouldn't I want to be famous, right? Something very profound. You'd probably want something a little more specific and legal, but for me it works. Either way, we're just putting in some text, and so I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna jump the font up a little bit for that, right? So no fine print here. We're making it bigger, and then we'll even do some justified, so you can see how weird that might look. So of course you can use my picture. Why wouldn't I want to be famous? From a design point of view, probably should be kind of making it around or adjusting the font size so it kind of filled the space more properly. But my idea was to teach you the buttons you had available, not how to do that. All right. So then now comes another fun new tool for us. So we're going to go over here to Insert, and under Text, the bottom option is the pin input. So we're going to grab him, pull it down, we'll put it right in that corner. We'll kind of slide it over here like so. So there we have a pen input. A couple of quick changes we want to make to that. Probably the first one of those we want to make is we want to go in here and we're going to change the fill to be white, so that way it looks like the rest of our fields that you had to put things into. Okay, so just like that. We also need to go back over here, right? I'm in Slacken, so we're going to do signature is what I put for that one. And then what was label 5? That is our label consent text. Okay, so that's all updated. Good job there. All right, so we're forms getting there, right? We're looking like we're pretty good. We know what we're doing. So let's make a button. We'll grab that blue button. We'll drag it down here. I will once again also change the fill. You know, and if you're wondering, right, why do I make all this different color? Why don't I just take all the defaults? It's mostly just so you can see how this stuff has changed and make you think about changing it, right? You could absolutely just accept the default, wouldn't have been a problem, but I just want you to be thinking about that. So then for our button, we'll change the text to consent. And then right now our on select for this guy is going to just be blank because we're not ready to do it, but where is my on select for my button? It'd help if I knew my alphabet, wouldn't it? There we go, there's on select. And so yeah, on select is currently false, which means nothing's happening if you press that button. No big deal, we're gonna get back to that. The other thing that we want to do, last little piece element here, is we're going to add an icon. And what we're going to do is I'm going to add the reload icon. So one of the pretty icons they give us out of the box. If you don't like what they've got, right, you could upload your own image. I'm going to take it, make it a little bigger, a little more finger friendly. And with that, then I'm going to change its color to black so it matches my pretty theme. Very nice, very elegant button. And you can make it just like a button. That's what we're going to do here. So we're going to go here, and there is a on select event for this one as well. And so for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to reset the form. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the reset function. So reset, and then we're going to reset, and I'm going to do them in order just so I don't miss any, right? So reset name. So you do that, and then you do a semicolon that says, hey, let me do another command. And so then we're going to do another reset. And then we're going to do email address right there. And then we're going to do reset of the age. See, and this is why we went to all that effort to make sure we labeled things appropriately. And then finally, we're going to reset the signature. So right there. All right. So that is our way of resetting. So if we go, and we know that one works, let's go test it out, right? So if I put in some text here, it's going to yell at me, set our age to 22. We'll do a little drawing action. Remember, you can also do colors. Ooh, let's do green. Sounds like fun, yay. All of that, and if we hit the reset button, everything goes back to blank. So, pretty cool, pretty cool. Now you see that this guy went back to his default value of text input because for some reason I did not change his default value to nada. So let's go over here and just delete all that out so there's no more. Now what you might do here though with this field is you might add a tip. So what you can do is you can do a hint text, right? So if you do hint text, then you can say, what is your name? And so that way it's in there, it kind of reminds them what to do, but it's grayed out. They don't have to delete it or anything like that. So using hint text gives you a way to put something in those fields that they don't have to delete. A lot of people have the bad habit of just putting something in the regular text and then they have to delete it out before they can start putting in the right value. So we might do the same thing for email, right? So email, hint text, and we make sure we're in the quotes and say, what is your email address? So just another one of those little things to make your form a little more usable. The last control that we need to add to this page, because we're not going to use it now, but we'll go ahead and put it in so we have all the pieces. So I'm going to grab a control, and I'm going to grab a toggle. We're going to drag it down here. And so then there is our toggle, and what we'll do is we will change. So there is going to be a false text, and so for false, we'll say no. And then there will be a separate true text, not true field, true text. And for this one, we'll say yes. And then we will also we'll take age, right? We'll kind of slide this over so it's a little smaller. And we'll put in another label here. And we'll call this get email. So we'll label get email. Doesn't really matter, but something so we know it's a label. And we'll drag it down here. We'll kind of make it smaller. And because I've poorly designed my form, I'm just going to make it say email question, right? You'd probably want to make it a whole line so you can do have all the space you would need. Now, one of the things I did notice when I first used this control is it's real easy for this control, right, the label to actually go over it. If you do that and the label is in front of the toggle, then you can't actually toggle. You won't be able to hit the button. So make sure that you don't have anything overlapping your actual toggle so they're able to use it. But just like that, now they can do it. We'll change our toggle to receive email. And so later on, we'll make the consent button if they've chosen that toggle, whether or not they'll get a copy of the email. So cool. Let's see. Let's hit play. Let's just make sure that the toggle button works. It does. You can also, with the toggle, I think the last thing I just want to make sure that the default is, because we don't want to spam people by default, we'll say default is the false value. All right, so that gets us really close, right? We've now got a way to take a bunch of input from the user. And so now let's do what was the first hard question I got, and that was, how do we email all this information over? So if you look down in the comments, right, I have a previous video that covers how to use email. But so the thing that we're going to do that's going to be new here, so we'll spend more time on, is we're actually going to look at how to email an attachment based on what you've got there. So I'm going to click on consent, right? And so on select is currently set to false. And so let's grab the formula and paste it in. All right, so I've got it. So we'll paste it right here. Now you immediately notice that everything goes red. Why is that? Well, if you watched the previous video, you know that I'm trying to send an Office 365 Outlook email, but I haven't connected to Office 365. So I've got to do that first. So I'm going to view data sources, add a data source, and then I'm going to choose Outlook. I did that in the previous video. I'm not going to cover how I set all that up the first time. So if you need to see it, go check out the other video. But now that we've added that, if we go back to our consent button, so now it's like, all right, so Office 365, send an email. We're going to send it to Shane.Young@BoldZebras. This part right here, right, I probably should have done this differently. This should be my subject text. And then we've got the body text. And then we've got attachments. So, right, attachments is one of those optional things when you send an email. But when you do an attachment, you'll say attachments : table. Then you have to define the attachment, right? So name, and we're going to name ours pininput.jpg. You name it whatever you want. That's what I'm going to name the attachment when I send it. And then contents bytes. So where's it going to get it from? Well, pininput1 is not what I named it. So I named it signature. This is where naming helps. So content bytes signature.image. So grab the signature image, put it into a file called pininput.jpg, and its OData type is nothing, but we have to specify that. And then we're actually going to delete the backside of this. We're not ready for that portion yet. But so that right there is everything that we should need. So it looks good. Now, in the other video, we talked about how to actually, reference these. But, if we wanted to set the name, right, we could say body text equals that, and what would we set that to? Name dot text. And so then now in our email, it should say body text. Put a space in there like that. So that's how you're going to reference these fields as you build out your email. So let's try it out. So we'll hit play. Wait. Hey, I just realized I made a major boo-boo. So I went to produce a video this morning. You notice I'm wearing different clothes, right? It's a different day because I ran out of time yesterday to finish the video. And as I was going through, I realized I forgot to tell you guys to save the form, right? Autosave takes effect once you've saved it the first time, then it's going to save it going forward. But if you're like me, yesterday I finished the video and then I went upstairs to eat dinner. I came back this morning and it's like, your session's expired, and I'd lost all my work. So right now, before you continue with the whole grand finale of this video, make sure you go over, you hit File, and then you say Save. and then you give it a name, and then do that whole process, right? So if I do save as, you'll see it. So give it a name, consent video 2, and then you can save your form, right? So save, and then you can go back to business, and then it will auto save all your work. Oh, it got me, and it's driving me bonkers because I had to watch myself and remake the whole video. The other thing that we forgot to do, let's do 2 quick cleanup things. One was we forgot to rename button 1, so we'll call this button consent. Not really a big deal because you don't ever reference these, but just easier. And then we'll call this button refresh. Cool. All right, so that's it. Sorry for the interruption. Get back to it. And look, you get a preview of what I'm wearing in the next video. So hopefully I'll see you there. Thanks. So boldzebras.com. Right, none of this matters, but we'll just check some boxes. We'll sign something because we do want to see the pin input. Ooh, let's do some red, some green, right? It's not Christmas, but it could be depending on when you're watching it. And so now let's hit consent. We see the dots go across the top. We'll give it a second. Okay, so the form came back, so we know it's out there in the internet flying across. So let me hang on 1 second. I'll grab it out of my email box. And so there you go. There's the email I got. So it's got the pin input.jpg, right? There's my subject text, body text, and then Shane, the name we put in the value. So that's step 1 of doing this consent form, right? Based on the raw requirements I got the first time, that would 100% accomplish everything we need to. And I think, this is getting us to a good distance, probably about a 20-minute video. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop here for today. And then we're going to make a second part. So part 2, what we're going to do is we're going to come back in here now and we're going to add all the conditional formatting. We're going to add the pop-up. And we're going to take this thing and add all those WYSIWYG features that make it a lot more fun and a lot more usable, right? This is working. This is doing what we needed to do. But now we want to do validation, grade this consent button out. And so we've made sure everything's good and take a look at that. So that'll be the next video. Hope you liked it. If you've got any feedback, any thoughts on what any of the stuff was I did, definitely leave it below. And the good news also is there's a link below to the other video. And I promise that I won't actually publish this one until the other one's done, so they'll get both published at roughly the same time, so you won't be left wanting for too long, right? I'm not Steven Spielberg here, no cliffhangers or anything for you. Cool? Cool. All right. Well, thanks and have a great day. Hey, it's me again. Just a reminder, if you don't mind, click the old subscribe button over here. That always helps me out. Or if you want to work together, you can always hit me up through the Bold Zebras. Or if really what you want is some more of these Power App videos, which is probably what you want, then the playlist is somewhere on the screen here. All right. Thanks. Have a great day.